right, here we go. Full screen.
I'm Surabachi.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets trembling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the brave? Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight to rename the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save this land of the brave, the US of A. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the
Well, we are back, but I don't know where everybody went. There we are.
We're right here, Tyler.
What's up, guys? Okay, that was a tricky one to get organized.
That was
Pinky
worth
and I
it.
put a
That
lot
was
of work.
so
Mostly
sick.
Pinky.
That was so sick.
You like that?
That
Okay,
got-
cool.
That got me
It
hyped. My one complaint is
Yeah.
how are you not going to put Matt Hughes in there?
Dude, okay, I could only throw so many in, and like getting the clips was really hard. Like
I can
really,
imagine.
really hard. So,
My Anderson Silva shirt's catching a stray on that.
dude,
That's my
I
only.
had to go with like Americans that either like mostly like won championships or just like overcome crazy odds. And I also wanted it against non-American fighters just because like, but so that's why some of them got left out that were also like Americans winning. But so I don't know. I thought it was fun. It was a good time. We're here for the White House card, or Freedom 250, as some people would call it, but it's been known as the White House card this whole time. Let me just kind of shout out we're going to do a quick shout out of the chat because there's a ton of you, but definitely shout out to my boy NBMMA, apparently is what he goes by now. I know him as Nate, but channel member. So we gotta shout him out. He's my boy. But yeah, shout out to everybody. We got Tristan, we got DX, we got Dixon. Let's see, got Tristan again. We got a lot of Tristan. What? Rose is American. What are you talking about here? We got Daz. What's up, Daz? There you go. We got everybody. We got Piccolo. We got Mind Freak. Hey, Mind Freak, I haven't seen you in a while. We got everybody. We got the gangs all here, and almost as important as everyone in the chat, we got everybody up on the screen here. We got me and Couch as usual, but we have two very, very special guests today. We have Free UFC Bet Picks, which is the most mouthful of a name ever, as well as Liam Picks Fights, which is close second for mouthful of a name. Guys, how is everybody feeling? Give me your overall thoughts on this White House card. Let's start with Couch, as he is the co-host.
Great card. I got no complaints about the card. I mean, I wish we got to see Topuria versus Islam, but I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think it ruins anything. I think it's an awesome card from top to bottom. The fact that we're starting with Diego Lopez and Garcia is sick. That's going to set the mood real quick. And it is a hard card to bet on, I would say. You have to go a little bit prop heavy unless you're just going to parlay all the favorites, and that's not my style exactly. So trying to find some value. It's a tricky card, but I am looking forward to it. I just wish it wasn't so late on Sunday. That's the one a little bit of annoying part. But
yeah, I thought that too. And it turns out the reason they did that is so the sun would be past a certain point in the sky, which
that makes reasonable sense to me. I'm not complaining. It's just I got work tomorrow, man. I got to work the next day.
I'm with you. Liam, what are your thoughts on this card?
I largely agree. One of my low-key fighters throughout the UFC has been Eamon Zahabi. So I'm, fired up for my guy to get him, see him on a big stage, getting a big opportunity. But frankly, I think that it's a good card. It's a card with a lot of heavy favorites. Couch kind of mentioned that's not really my style. I like to look for my live underdogs, play some props when appropriate. I'm not really a parlay heavy guy. And so I got to really pick my spots on a card like this. I feel like there's some banana peel potential, but there's also some guys that you're looking at where, you're hoping the best version of them shows up. Otherwise, it's going to be tough. So I'm going to be picking my spots accordingly, and hopefully we can find a couple winners as a panel.
Absolutely. And since we have the chat is just going like crazy since we're streaming to like everybody is everything. So I just put it up on the screen. So hopefully everybody watching at home or wherever you're watching can see that. But yeah, there's no way I'm gonna be able to keep up with everybody if we
keep forgetting that's a thing you can do now.
Yeah, same. I sometimes forget that. So I'm really glad that we can do that. It does kind of cut into Liam a little bit, but thankfully we kind of made it fit. Free, what are your thoughts on this card as a whole?
Really exciting matchups, very unique venue. Can't wait to see it. Hoping for good weather. It's such a big variable. We'll talk more about it.
So
but I'm excited.
Yeah, this card, it's polarizing. We've already seen people try to get it shut down. Obviously, it's probably not getting shut down, but it's polarizing, and I hate it. And I hate that it's polarizing because it's part of the whole everything. Everybody has this not everyone. I hate speaking in absolutes. That's what the Sith do. But it's one of these things where the epidemic we have of identity politics has just ruined everything to the point that you can't just be happy that this is a celebration of the country. We all live here. Everybody does that. Well, everybody that lives here anyway, but just be happy that it's a fun thing, guys. You don't have to just be mad. If it doesn't matter who's in office, this is cool. This is cool. So I don't know. I hope that it goes over well, and I hope that it doesn't end up being a political thing. I don't think it will. I think it's just going to be a celebration of America. I think that they're genuinely going to do that. So I think that's sick. So hopefully everything goes off without a hitch. I have high hopes. Great card. And with that, we can start talking about the card because we got a stacked group of folks in the chat waiting for that. And you know what? Let's kick it off with Couch again. We got Diego Lopez and Steve Garcia kicking off the card at 145 pounds. Couch, why don't you give your thoughts on this one? But also, outside of just giving your thoughts on the fight, where's your heart at? Like, who do you want to win? So you'll take it away.
I've never been much of a Lopez guy. You know this about me, Tyler. I used to go on a 10-minute rant. Anybody said that he's going to win because of his aura. That was a whole thing. I won't deny the guy has aura, but he's not a guy I like to lay chalk on. It's a really good fight. It's one that I'm really interested in, and I'm very tempted on the Steve Garcia side. Like, I do think he has some advantages, and I know that Diego's been really durable, but Diego's also taken a lot of damage. His defense is horrific, and he doesn't make adjustments. That's what we've learned seeing him fight Volkanovski twice, is the guy doesn't adjust at all. So that's another issue that I have with him. And I just think that Garcia could hurt him. I think there's going to be a point in the fight where Garcia does hurt him. I don't think he's going to end up knocking him out, but I think he's going to hurt him. I think both guys can hurt the other. I know that Garcia can be a little bit chinny too, but when you look at it, when Garcia was getting hurt, that's when he was fighting really, really reckless. Recently, he's been a lot different with his defense. Like, he's been fighting very differently. He's covering up. You see head movement. He's actually working his angles. Like, he's not fighting how he used to. He's actually making real improvements that you can see when you're watching his fights. And one other concern has always been like, oh, does he have cardio? Because he goes so hard so fast. And then we saw him do very well against Calvin Kattar over 3 rounds. I know it's a washed Calvin Kattar. I understand that. But we didn't know if he could even do that against washed Calvin Kattar before that fight. Now we know that he can. I do think that if some grappling is mixed in and some adversity is mixed in, it's going to be a little bit harder. But at this point, I'm fairly confident he can go 15. I like his defense a lot more than it used to be. I think that he can also hurt Diego. I think that he's the cleaner striker. And, you know, everything Diego throws has a little bit of a loop to it. Everything's got something here. Garcia, he's throwing straight down the pipe. So that's always going to land faster. The main concern for me is if Diego's smart, he's going to mix in some grappling. And I do think he's a relatively good wrestler. I don't think it's anything phenomenal. I don't think you have to be phenomenal to take down Garcia. And the jiu-jitsu is really elite. And we've also, like, Garcia does give up his back in a lot of these scrambles. Even against Kyle Nelson, that wasn't even a takedown. It was just like a kick, and then he fell over. And next thing you know, Nelson's on his back. I know how that fight ended, but there's a tremendous difference between Diego Lopez and Kyle Nelson when it comes to taking your back. Diego probably finishes the fight there. So it's been really hard for me. I'm going to pick Diego just because I think he has more ways to win. I think that he can win by knockout. I think he can win by submission. And I don't think a decision is impossible. But in terms of a bet, I'm really tempted on the Garcia side. And I've been back and forth, and I'm going to try to decide by tomorrow.
Fair enough. All right. Liam's up next. And because Daz dropped, was that like $5 Aussie in there, which no idea what that is in freedom money, but it's appreciated nonetheless. He has a specific question for Liam. He asked Liam, do you have an opinion on the humidity and sweating and subs? So let's hear that in addition to what your thoughts are on the fight, Liam, please.
Yeah. So starting with the question, you know, I think it could have an effect, but I also think that there's some merit to the fact that if people are getting tired and getting fatigued, that they're more likely to give in and tap than if they are just feeling fresh, right? When you're tired, you know, you look for a way out. You want people to get off of you so you can breathe again. And I do think that that's, you know, probably 6 of one, half dozen of another, right? Like whatever is offset by the humidity and the sweating, like maybe some arm bars are down, but maybe some, you know, half-hearted rear naked chokes that wouldn't have got you on your best day. You're tired and you're giving it up a little bit easier type of thing. So with that being said, to talk about this fight, you know, if I'm looking at the Lopez side, a guy who, you know, went from being a big underdog and had a fantastic performance, right? He showed his skills on the ground, got the mount, did a great job against Gene Silva. But then we also saw, like, in that fight, you know, he showed off he could fight on the feet, he could fight on the ground. But he's still a little bit of a wild man. He's still taking a lot of big chances. And he kind of needs to finish people to win cleanly. Otherwise, it's going to be close. Even some of the fights where he won, Dan Ige, it ended up being a little bit close down the stretch. His cardio, I'd say, is a little bit of a concern. Also, when you're a guy fighting for those big moments, swinging wild, doing crazy stuff, it can tax your cardio. So I used to think people were overselling Diego Lopez having bad cardio, and I still think that's true. But I just don't think he has better cardio than Steve. Like, if you look at Steve by comparison, he throws out a lot more volume overall. He's a guy that fights at a higher work rate, and he doesn't always rely on those big finishes. He's got a couple on his record, but he's also got some decision wins. You pointed to the Calvin Kattar performance. That's a really good win from Steve because unlike some other guys that fought Calvin and exploited the fact he can't wrestle and grapple, he kind of just beat Calvin where he's good, like pillar to post. So I think that it's the kind of thing that tells me if this fight goes 15, if I knew that in advance, I would favor Steve. And so looking at the fight I think it's right now favored to end inside the distance, right? But then you're looking at Steve on a decision only market. He's plus 130 on DK. I feel like if the fight went 15 minutes, like Steve is probably going to have outlanded him on the strike total. So maybe he gets hurt and rocked in multiple rounds. Maybe Diego Lopez takes his back twice. But for me, it's just like if Lopez gets his back, the fight's probably over. Lopez is a very good transition grappler. He's very dangerous. 12 out of his 27 career wins by submission. So if I was looking at the Lopez side, I'm probably clicking Lopez sub at plus 430 and hoping that he either hurts him or gets one of those transitions and is able to submit him. But I think if he doesn't submit him, he's probably going to have a hard time looking like a big favorite. I think he could knock him out as well. But if you look at the markets have Steve as a favorite in a KO-only market. Slight favorite. I think it's like minus 125 to minus 105. But basically, the odds makers are saying like Steve is just as likely to knock out Lopes as the other way around, even though Lopes historically is much more durable. I will point out, people normally look at UFC records, and if you go back to pre-UFC, Diego Lopez did get stopped with strikes by a pretty solid Russian fighter in round 2 back in the day. So it's not like he's invincible. Like he's a man, right? He got kind of TKO'd on the ground in that fight, kind of got tired and didn't have much more to give. And I do think if Steve is pouring it on in round 3, that would be, I think, a chance for Steve to get him out of there. I don't think it would come from one big shot from Steve, though that's possible. I think it would more likely be Steve just being in his face all night and Lopez kind of running out of steam down the stretch. So, yeah, the way I see it is I'd probably be on Garcia if I had to pick a money line side today. I think the public side in this fight is Diego Lopes. I think Lopes is a good fighter and a solid guy, but price is everything. And I think that Steve – decision only is probably my preferred play just because it avoids him getting starched cold. And I've seen him get face planted, right? I know that's a possibility here. So if I can guarantee 15 minutes have passed, I think unless it's 2 back takes or 2 knockdowns, it's probably going to be Steve getting his hand raised, especially on the White House card.
There we go. We're split right now, 1-1. Not too bad. Going into number 3. Actually, real quick, shout out to SD Crusader for dropping a donation of $2. Freedom money right there. That's what we like to see. All right, Free, what do you got as far as your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I was initially liking Steve as a dog. I've kind of thought that Lopes is a little overrated. He's improved a lot, like Couch said, but he didn't used to be a great striker. He just swung hard with power, and it would get people to shoot on him. He's an incredible finisher on the ground, and he mixes it all really nicely. Like, the grappling, clinch, and the striking. The Sabatini fight's a good example, but lots of regional scene examples as well. And he kind of thrives in the chaos. In terms of the back take ability, which you guys brought up very astutely, he likes to catch kicks and take the back standing. There's opportunities for him to get dominant positions without even needing to wrestle necessarily. And Steve likes to give up his back. He's done it many times. But, I agree that Steve's going to be just so much cleaner. Diego has much more experience in the big cage. Steve's often fighting at the apex, and Diego's always on pay-per-views. Diego's got the pressure, the big cage advantage, the pressure advantage, the chaos advantage with like that short notice Ige fight. But I actually think the big cage is going to favor the guy with better footwork, which is Steve, clearly, in my opinion. I'll tell you what Diego does better than anyone in the UFC, and I'm not exaggerating. He's the only guy that when he throws 2 hooks and the first hook drops the guy, the second hook doesn't airball. He has an uncanny, very unique ability to adjust that second punch mid-flight. It's like he sees stuff in slow motion. Truly, it's a very unique thing. He's done it like 3 times. Ortega off the top of my head. I've got the others in my notes, but just very slow, plodding footwork, and Volk was able to out footwork him. We saw in that Ige fight, even though Ige was on 4 hours notice, he had better cardio than this guy who'd been training for a fight for months. That's concerning. So on the feet, I think Steve's far cleaner. I think they've both got plenty of power. Steve has more power, but the durability edge for Diego is gigantic here. Steve can be cracked, and Diego might have one of the best chins in the history of the division. I got to go Diego because of the ground game, because he can get those dominant positions without even needing to wrestle necessarily. And I'm going to try not to bring this up too much, but I'm a little wary of some slipping. Steve does like to throw some spinning attacks, which gives you the opportunity for spinning back takes, and I think might have you slip in in a humid environment. There's a BKFC fighter, Josh Watson, who was talking about, I fought outside before and we canceled the card halfway through. There was a 4-18 guy who beat a 5-0 guy because of a slip. So I don't want to like over-index on that concern or that angle, but it's in my mind. And there's another fight where it's especially relevant later on. I got to go Diego, even though I'm having trouble finding dogs. I like Steve a lot. I've been cashing on him for like the last couple of years. But I think Diego's just got too many advantages, mainly durability and the grappling, obviously.
Fair enough. I want to answer Hustlebone's question. It's
Can
because
I
in
Portuguese?
Portuguese.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, my friend. I just want to touch on the submissions real quick before I forget.
Yeah.
So Liam put it perfectly. When people are gassed, we see it like at elevation. Salt Lake City, Mexico City, Colorado. We see the exact same percentage of finishes, but more subs, fewer KOs.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot harder to hit somebody hard when you're tired than it is to get them to quit.
Easier if you're gassed and you want out. Not that it, like, never to question these guys hard or grit, right? But if you want out, you can stick your neck in an armpit, right?
Mm-hmm.
O'Malley Marab too. I'm just saying.
Oh, I just needed that to go over so bad, man. Oh, in terms of what submissions, like Diego likes the dry submissions, in my opinion. He likes the heel hooks and the knee bars and stuff, and those are not as good. Whereas like a rear naked choke, you'd love some blood and sweat. Easier to sink in.
Yeah, I'll touch on that as well here in just a sec. But yeah, so in Portuguese, it's pronounced Lopes, but for some reason, since Diego is kind of like Portuguese Mexican, I guess, like, I don't know, like he's from Brazil, but like Mexican at the same time, it gets confusing on whether it's Lopes or Lopez. So I don't really know. It could be pronounced either, and it seems like he takes either one. So that's why people say Lopes, and that's why some say Lopez. Hey, what's up, dude? Good to see you, buddy. Glad you made it. I knew you were coming in after your stream was over, so I'm glad you made it. But yeah, so the submissions, yeah, for me, like chokes will be easier to get under the chin when you're sweaty, like everybody was saying, but like limb submissions are much harder. Like limb submissions, I especially obviously because like this is an MMA fight, so there's no like gi to grab onto. A limb submission, like arm, leg, whatever, darn near impossible to like keep a hold on once you hit a certain point of sweat. Like, I mean, you still can if you're like, it's just really, really hard because even if it's fully locked in, you can still slip out of stuff because skin on skin when you're that sweaty just slips.
You think they're gonna do anything to like kind of deal with the heat and humidity? I mean, they're spending what 60 mil on it. You got to think like maybe there's some super fans on that big arch thing. Like
you can't do that though either because then you got the fans messing with stuff. I
can't imagine that with the money they're spending that they're gonna risk anything like sweat.
There's nothing they can do about the heat. Like you remember when they were in like
Fight Island, it was hot, right?
Cards?
Yeah, it was hot. I remember.
Dude, everybody was like dying of heat. So like I think the heat's just gonna be there. Now, as for the canvas, it is a lot harder to slip on the UFC canvas than it is on like a regional canvas. Because I've been to regional events that are like I'm from Nebraska. Like I've been to MMA shows. They're in like a barn and they have like a cage set up. I'm not even kidding when I say this. There's literally like a cage in the middle of a barn and there's just like folding chairs all around the sucker. And we're all just like watching fights. It's great. It's a good time. But people will be slipping all over the place because it's hot here and it's humid, especially as you get towards like the later end of the summer. You get the corn going and corn makes everything even more humid. So it's like, dude, you get people just slipping like crazy and it's like comical to watch. Or like, you know, it's like all that kind of stuff. Like it's a big thing, or like bugs are huge and like those are big problems. And like I imagine they'll have it better than they do at these regional shows that are just kind of like, it'll be all right. But man, there's only so much you can do. So I do think they are going to have some trouble. Now on to this fight, what I'm thinking here. At the beginning of my video this week, I told everybody, I said, also shout out the couch. Cause like, dude, somebody brought me up on your video. Like I was watching your video, whatever, yesterday or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Dude. And you got my back right there, but I appreciate you. So,
well, cause I was saying like, you're from Nebraska watching in a barn. It's going to be a little different.
Like, that's what it's like. But onto this fight. I told everybody at the beginning of my video, I was like, guys, I want to watch this fight, this card as a fan. And so like, forgive me if some of my takes are fan takes and if I'm picking with my heart on some of these fights. Of course, the comment section is the comment section and you get a lot of people that don't listen and they still are like, I can't believe you picked so-and-so. guys, this is a fun fight card. I'm picking Steve Garcia, A, because he's an American fighting at the White House, so I'm gonna pick him, and B, because like I'm a big Steve Garcia fan, and I think this is a pretty close fight. And if it's pretty close, I'm gonna take the guy I want to win in this situation. So we're going Steve Garcia because yes, he can win, and also I kind of like Steve Garcia. Just
before we move on, I'm gonna switch my pick too because I'm probably gonna bet Garcia, so then I'm gonna end up picking him for my shorts. So I'm gonna pick Garcia also.
Let's go. We got 3-1 now.
I think I'm going to do Diego Sub plus 380.
There you go. I don't blame you. I don't blame anybody for taking all the like non-Americans either, because like they're all kind of favored over the Americans, except for Sugar, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, I mean, here we go. Let's move on. We are 3-1 on that one, which is cool. We got American versus American. So in this one, it's all good. Something I do, like a little trivia question for everybody. In this fight, we have the person that lives the closest to this fight card. If you guys can, by the end of the time that we get through this, obviously the person that lives closest is Kyle Dawkins because he's from Philly, which is really close to DC. But if you can name whoever lives the second closest, that you'll win a mystical trivia point. We're going to start things off with Liam on this one. We got Bo Nickel versus Kyle Dawkins at the 185-pound division. Liam, what are your thoughts?
I would have to imagine Bo is the next closest. I know he's from Texas.
He lives in Florida, though.
Oh, he lives in Florida. I didn't know that. I know he used to
ATT.
train at State College. So good point.
Mhm.
But all of which is to say, I'll be pretty short and to the point on this fight. I have a lot of respect for Dawkins, especially coming back to the UFC, everything that he's done to get back here. I think he's a fine fighter. I think he's got a lot of skills in different positions. I just think he's at such an athletic deficit in this fight that he's going to get fucking ran over, honestly. Like when I looked at Bo Nickel in his last fight with Adolfo Vieira, I was extremely impressed. I think that Bo Nickel is somebody I have in the past said the guy was delusional, like all these things that aren't very nice, right? And a lot of people came at me for that. It was before the RDR fight. I was like, this guy is sniffing in his own farts. He thinks he's God's gift. And I was like, he's going to eat some humble pie at some point if he keeps doing this. Because after the Paul Craig fight, he's like, no, that was a dominant win. I was like, you're lying. You're lying. Like, if you think that's a dominant win, you're either delusional or you're lying. So I was like, he's delusional. And then he loses that fight to RDR. And that's a make or break kind of fight in a lot of ways. Like, some guys never come back the same when they lose that fight, right? You get dominated, you get embarrassed, your hype blows up in your face. Some guys just lose all their subsequent fights. I felt like Bo showed genuine evolution for the first time since, right? He comes out for that Adolfo Vieira fight. He beat him everywhere. He summarily outgrappled him during the contest. He threatened him with more chokes than he was threatened with. He got the takedowns when he wanted them easily, muscled him around, threw him every which way but loose, and then beat his ass on the feet. I'm talking, he wanted to punch him, he punched him. He wanted an elbow, he elbowed him. He wanted a knee or a kick, he landed until he finished him. And it was like he was just out there freestyling on him, anything he wanted all the time. Who's done that to Adolfo? Like, some guys have beaten Adolfo. Some guys have won. Who has just dominated Adolfo, made him look like a fool? Very few and far between, right? Like, Fluffy gassed him. Even in that fight, Fluffy was mounted, right? It's like, who has just punked this guy? Chris Curtis out there boxing up. He had his eyes swollen up by Adolfo Vieira's jab. What happened in that fight? Bo Nickel just made him look like a clown. And it's just like, what is Adolfo better at than Kyle Dawkins? Certainly grappling, right? Like, no disrespect, guys. He's a much better grappler than Kyle. I know Kyle's a fine grappler, right? He lost a grappling match to Eric Anders, right? He lost to Eric Anders in the UFC, got knocked out. Grappled him, he lost. Guys, it's going to go really poorly, I think. I haven't watched it back, honestly, or at least not in a while. I think I watched it live. But all of which is to say, I can imagine why. Anders is a good athlete, and Dawkins is not. So it's like Dawkins has made the most of just being an average to below average athlete with some real skills. And I think Bo Nickel has real skills and is a real athlete. So I think he's just going to run through this guy, honestly.
Fair enough. Okay, Bo's the pick for that one. Free, what do you got? Looks like you got a couple thoughts.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, my friend. I was truly curious because I haven't seen it, but you're a grappler. I don't have to tell you. Some of these matches, it's just like the rules, and a guy can just stall out and win. Sometimes it's like a control time, a top position thing. So I don't know like what rule set it was or what, but Andrews is a big boy, fights at 205 and such. But I'm a little nervous on Bo here. I did play his decision plus 240, and I played the over 1.5 or 4.5 units to win 3. I think it goes a little while. And these Dawkins fights are the concern. Like if this was just Bo Nickel, over 1.5 is easy. I cashed Bo Nickel round 2 against Cody Brundage at like plus 500. Like I've been on Bo overs forever. It's just Dawkins. He's going in there. His hands look so fast, much faster. I think he's got like more finishing potential on the feet than Bo. Probably not as good of a chin as Bo. And Bo's, technical. He's improving so much, like you said, but he's not even going for that many takedowns anymore. I think it's going to play out on the feet. In 8 UFC fights, Bo Nickel's just 10 of 18, and he's fought some bums, and he's fought some like guard pullers, right? I mean, he seems to want to show off the striking. I think he's going to feel pretty confident on the feet. He's going to feel like the only threat I have here is if I stick my head into a Darce choke, right? So I'm really liking the over here. But I think that, Kyle's a little live. He's got more power and he's so fast lately. But I'm on Bo decision.
I'm also on the over. I like the over quite a bit. I think Bo probably wins a decision as well because maybe not a decision. Maybe he gets him out of there later, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be a decision because I think as these fights go, the conditions are going to be that where knockouts aren't really happening super often after, the first few minutes. So, I think, and I don't think, I'm not saying Bo couldn't sub Dawkins, and I'm not saying Dawkins couldn't sub Bo, but I think both of them are good enough grapplers to stay safe for the most part, unless somebody gasses. So I'm going to say Bo probably wins a decision as well. And I think it's partially because he's more likely going to be the one that can dictate whether it stays up or down. Because, Dawkins has some all right takedowns, but I don't know if they're good enough to get Bo down clean. I don't think so. Sure, Dawkins can defend takedowns, but I don't know if he can defend takedowns if Bo says, I'm taking this guy down. I need to take this guy down. So I think it's going to be one of those things. So I think Nickel probably gets it done, probably by decision, probably competitive, but that's where I'm at. What about you, Couch?
Yeah, interesting one for me. I've always been a Kyle Dawkins fan, even during his first run. I can't tell you why. I just was. I like the guy. And I've never really been a big Bo Nickel guy, but I do think this is a tough ask for Dawkins. Like, I can't really game out what a win looks like for him. For me, whenever I look at like all these comments, these people raging against Bo and calling Bo a bum, I would bet anything that they had a parlay with Bo in it against RDR, and that's exactly why they say what they're saying, because it doesn't make any other logical sense otherwise. How are you okay with Dawkins getting knocked out by Eric Anders, but you're going to throw a fit that RDR finished Bo? And it's like RDR and Kyle Dawkins are not the same outside of being maybe a little bit lanky and and both grapplers, but like Bo is a lot more athletic, a lot more explosive than someone like Eric Anders, a lot more youthful. And if Anders can do it, I really do think Bo Nickel can do it too. For me, originally, I was kind of looking at this fight like you guys, and I was thinking about the overs. I don't like laying chalk on overs. It's gone wrong for me way too many times. So I was looking at the over 2.5, and the fight goes, and maybe Bo decision. But I retaped it, and I was looking at it, and like Dawkins is so stiff on the feet. He's so stiff. His chin is up. I have no reason to believe his chin is any better than it used to be, outside of I do think that he bulked a little bit. He does seem to me like he's bigger and stronger than he was in his first run. So maybe that will make a difference in the chin. But other than that, I have no reason to believe that it's that much better. And Bo is improving a lot in that striking. You compare that not Eric McConaughey, the Rodolfo Vieira fight to the Paul Craig fight. Both were primarily on the feet. He was a different guy in the Vieira fight. He looked good. He outpointed him over 3 rounds. Rodolfo Vieira, yeah, he's probably a little bit washed, but that was a great test because Bo couldn't really he could take him down, and he did, but it was risky. So it's better to strike with him. And he proved that he could strike and he could find the finish on the feet. And I think he's going to keep getting better. And I personally think he's going to knock out Dawkins. And even if he doesn't, I do think he's going to get those takedowns. I think Dawkins is a good scrambler. I think he's hard to control at times, but he's not that hard to take down. And like even the Sean Connor Fallon fight, you look at that one, he got taken down a ton. He was also looking for the chokes and eventually did get it, but it did lead to him spending a lot of time on his back. So I think Bo's going to be able to dictate where the fight takes place. I think Bo's a much better athlete overall. And I personally think Bo's going to knock him out at some point.
Well, if he gets the knockout, hopefully it's over 1.5 rounds before he does it.
I hope so too.
Okay, well, so that's surprising. We all four agree. This is good. This is good news. We can move on to the next one, and this one has me. The numbers have me torn, but it is what it is. Mauricio Ruffy takes on Michael Chandler, and it's another one where we've got America versus elsewhere in the world. This time it happens to be Brazil again. I don't know what's up with that, but there's something up with it. Freeze kicking this one off. What are your thoughts on Ruffy Chandler? Let's hear them.
I'm picking Ruffy, but I think this one could be a little closer than the odds, obviously, as you insinuated. And everyone's just putting Ruffy in every single parlay, and I have not yet and don't really intend to, except for like my sweep. And I'm probably going to have to pop some props in my sweep as well, like because otherwise it's going to be like, plus 2,000 or something. But, who's the fighter on this card that needs some variables, needs some luck, needs a slip or two to win? Chandler. Who is the guy who's going to throw the most diverse attack on the feet and is most likely to perhaps slip? I think Ruffy, right? And Chandler gasses, but in round one he looked pretty darn good. Like when Paddy threw a low kick, Chandler was on it, like all over it, took him down, got some solid control time. Early in that fight too, his range management and his striking defense looked okay. By the end of round one, he just started ducking down a lot. I think Mauricio could probably land a big knee up the middle here and finish him off. But early in the fight, I mean, if there's one slip and Chandler can hop on top, I know BSD is a stud, but how BSD just absolutely took the heart out of him, made him wilt, made him quit, battered him, embarrassed him. That's still in my head. And I know, again, Chandler's not at that BSD level, but all Chandler needs to do is lay and pray for 2 rounds and 1 takedown and 1 slip. And everyone's ripping up their slips with a 750 favorite on it. So I think Ruffy's going to get him out of there with something big up the middle once Chandler starts to gas about 4 minutes in and starts ducking down instead of dipping out of the range. But I was rewatching. Chandler looked a little better early against Paddy than I recalled. He's got a solid chin. He's taken some huge shots. And so, I love Ruffy's diverse attack, his look away punches. He's just got everything. He's got every arrow in the quiver. But he's so tall. Like Chandler's so compact and short. He's a little hard to reach. Like Paddy really had trouble. He was just throwing over his head all the time. And obviously Ruffy's, far better striker than Paddy, but it's a, stylistic matchup that gives me some pause at minus 750.
Yeah. I agree entirely. I'm rooting for Chandler 100%. Like, I realize he shouldn't win, probably won't win, but I'm rooting for the guy because Team America, guys. We're Team America today. So I'm rooting for Chandler. I'm rooting for the over 1.5. I think we get over 1.5 because, like Free was saying, the Chandler that comes out in the first round is pretty good. I don't think he gets knocked out early. I think if he gets finished, it's late. And it'll be something where he's just too tired just to make reasonable decisions. And like you said, hit a knee or something like that. But also I really could see a world where Chandler says, okay, I've made fights too fun to win and it's been great, but I have to win in this fight in front of, everyone at the White House. Right. He's like, this could be the fight. He's like, I have to win. And people forget how good of a wrestler Chandler is. He's a pretty gosh darn good wrestler when he tries to wrestle. He was winning to Poirier until he decided that instead of just taking him down, he was going to pick him up and hold him way above his head and do all this goofy stuff. And then Poirier rotated, took his back and got the finish. He was winning that fight.
Ask me if I had 5 units on Chandler plus 200 that night. Yeah,
no,
that decision making.
I didn't have 5 units. I had 1, but I felt, yeah. Oh gosh.
It was so sick by Poirier. It was just such a subtle little foot grab because he was about to land on his back and he snuck the foot around, landed on top. It was a game of inches.
But it wouldn't have been if Chandler didn't want to do all this goofy stuff. If he just got the takedown that he had clean, he wins that fight. And there's so many fights like that where if he just doesn't try to make it fun and instead just wins, his record in the UFC looks a whole lot better. He still loses some of those fights, right? But jeepers, man. And he makes so many boneheaded decisions. But he could, if he wants to go out there and lay and pray, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities. He could lay and pray on Ruffy. Ruffy's good. he's not as good as the competition that's been beating Chandler. And Chandler makes it fun in all of these fights and competitive in these fights. So it's like Ruffy's good, but like I don't think he's better than most. The only person I would say he could maybe be better than that Chandler's fought in the UFC would be Hooker. And even then, it kind of depends on the night because Hooker kind of depends on the night. But yeah, like, I don't know. There's a real path for Chandler. And at this money, like, I want to play him. Ultimately, I think Ruffy probably wins, but I'm Team Chandler all day for this one. We're rooting for him. And I do have him in the America parlay.
The decision prop's wild, like 1600, I think.
Dude, and like if he wins, it's probably a decision. Like, could he sub him? Yeah, but like probably not. Like, he does have a good arm triangle, but he hasn't gone for one in I don't even know how long. Bellator sometime. But anyway, Couch, what are your thoughts?
See you at the top. Those are my thoughts.
Are you taking him?
Yeah. I think they're forcing our hand with this line. Like, I'm not going to pick Chandler. I'm not out of my mind. He's 41 years old, fighting a 28-year-old, extremely accurate striker who left fighting nerds where he was comfortable, when traveling around the world, trained with Volk. Like, the dude is good. Not going to take that away from Rufy. Really, really good striker. Chandler is ancient. Chandler makes terrible fight decisions. Chandler falls apart. Rufy's probably going to knock him out. That said, I can't get to minus 700 on a guy who never leads exchanges, is constantly looking to counter, starts very slow and takes a while to find his rhythm, and his grappling is still a hole. Is it going to get better? I'm almost positive it's going to keep getting better. Again, he's only 28 years old. He's making smart decisions. He's training with the right people. Working with someone like Volk is going to help you out. It's not going to fix it, but it's going to help. But I do think Chandler can get takedowns. He's very explosive with the entries, especially on that double leg. We all know that. He does set it up pretty well too. And, you know, how do you beat a guy who likes to be rangy and needs his space? Don't give him space. Crowd the guy. And Chandler's going to do just that. I do wish that Chandler was a little better at actually cutting the cage and not just chasing forwards. He is going to chase, but that's still going to make Rufy spend pretty much the entire fight on his back foot. Could that lead to a counter? Absolutely. But I think it could also lead to some minute winning for Chandler. And don't forget, Chandler's got a lot of power too. And that's one of the last things that's going to go for an older guy. And Rufy does do a good job at maintaining the distance and managing it. But that chin's up there. And he can't help the tall man's defense that comes with the height. And Chandler can land a bomb. He could. So for me, at plus 525, like, you throw a quarter unit on it, you throw a half unit on it, and you forget about it. You assume that you lost. You cheer for the guy because he's awesome. And hope for the best.
Let's go. Liam, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to make it a unanimous panel on Michael Chandler being value. Listen, do I love it? No. Has Michael Chandler literally fucked me personally several times? Yes. I had him against Charles Oliveira the first time they fought. I had KO1 plus 750. And he drops him, and then he's fucking rolling on the ground, grappling, trying to submit him and shit. I'm like, please, Michael, for the love of all things holy, comes out in rounds 2, dies. Then I have him against Dustin Poirier. Thank goodness I also had the ends by submission, because he had Dustin as good as submitted for all of round 2, doesn't finish it, and then gets subbed in round 3. Just unbelievable stuff, right? So if you look at this guy's runouts in the UFC, almost everybody that he fights, he has a big moment. He has a chance. He does something awesome. And then it kind of falls apart, right? So could I see that happening here? Absolutely. And if you had to lay a single cent of chalk on Michael Chandler, you'd never do it. But when you look at Rufy, he doesn't fit the criteria for guys I'm willing to play at these kind of prices. And why do I say that? Does he have a dominant grappling path? Not really. Against BSD, he honestly didn't show bad grappling, but he doesn't have the consistency in rounds to grapple hard. So if you just force him to grapple hard, he will make a mistake. Just give him some time, right? He'll do the right thing once, maybe twice. Third time, he doesn't do the right thing. He starts to fall apart. He starts to make bad decisions. You'd think, okay, well, maybe it's just the wrestling and the grappling. What if Chandler wants to be Johnny-come-lately on the feet and just show his power and be an idiot, which he's very apt to do? How about the Yontop fight where this dude just got walked down by a guy who was not good at fighting, right? Like, that guy is okay. He's not good at anything. He's okay at everything, and he's a tough guy. And he just walked him down with impunity, landed 25 more significant strikes, but he got hurt and dropped and rocked multiple times, right? So if there's no big moments, it was a clear win for Yantop. Yantop clearly wins the third round. Rufi has his hands on his knees at the 8-minute mark. So it's not one fight where he got tired. It's multiple fights where he got tired. I know that Chandler just fought 5 rounds against Charles Oliveira. Where are people talking about that when we're saying he's got terrible cardio? He got gassed against Paddy because he got his ass kicked. And if you're taking damage, you'll be tired. You're tired of getting your ass kicked, right? It's like he was eating a lot of damage in that fight. He tried to wrestle and grapple, but it was hard. Who has he tried to wrestle and grapple in the UFC? Guys like Charles Oliveira and Dustin Poirier and they're championship level fighters. They're really hard guys to get out of there on the ground. So most of the time he's engaging in fisticuffs with these guys. And that's really hard to do, right? Gaethje and these guys, he's hurting them. He's landing huge shots. He just can't put them away. They're championship level fighters. They can put it together better. They have all the skills in the same positions he does. And some of them aren't 40. So it's just like things have been falling apart for Chandler, no doubt. But when I go back and look, I see the component pieces of a guy who still fights hard, of a guy who still shows up in good shape, and of a guy who has everything to gain for winning this fight. On the other side, Rufi, same exact thing, right? But I don't feel like he's a big game player. His first fight on pay-per-view, he had that shitty performance against Yantop. Then they put him in the French crowd, right? Hey, you're a big favorite. Go out there and deliver on foreign soil against a hostile crowd. And he looked like a deer in headlights. He backed up the whole fight. He didn't have much success on the feet. Now, I will say this. There was one jump knee that he threw in that fight that BSD just took on the chin like an absolute soldier. Salute him for it. Michael Chandler will go to absolute sleep if he gets hit with that knee. Let's not make a joke about that. But other than that, there wasn't a lot of good intercepting tools from Rufi. It was back up, standing straight up, looking like a deer in headlights, allowing free entries to the hips. And BSD is not as good a wrestler as Michael Chandler. Hot take. In my opinion, watching the two of them wrestle, I think BSD is a much better grappler. Let's be serious. He's a much better grappler. Skill for skill on the ground, the technique, the moving here to here, but the actual getting in on the takedowns. BSD was shooting some half shitty fucking like reach up here, half on the hip, half on here, and he's taking him down. So it's just like a D1 All-American can get a better shot off than that. Also, Narrative Nation, we got an All-American wrestler in that last fight. We got an All-American wrestler in this fight. We got another All-American wrestler coming up soon. So watch out for them All-American wrestlers. They know how to move units. They know how to go out there, push the pace, throw heavy, and also get takedowns. And I feel like on this card, that could pay dividends. I feel like from a DFS standpoint, that's what makes Chandler interesting as well. It's like the game plan's there. We can go out there and try and wrestle this guy, pressure this guy, look to land big shots and then grab a hold of him, pressure him against the fence. He was doing that to Paddy, but Paddy's very comfortable in a grappling fight. Rufi has to prove to us that he can be comfortable in a grappling fight because he hasn't been since the Magomed Aliyev fight on Contender Series, however many years ago. And how good was that guy? Who's to know? It was a nice win by Rufi, but at the UFC level, he's not fought a wrestler and grappler like this, so I know he's 41. I think that there's a chance Chandler does it. I think at plus 525, it's too big.
Let's go. Let's go. I'm so team Chandler on this. He probably somehow screws it up, but I'm still like at this number. Come on.
He's going to die, but that doesn't mean we can't root for him and be delusional. Okay.
If you like Rufi, take the KO at minus 2XX in my opinion. Because if this fight has gone the whole 15, I don't think you're going to be like, yay, Rufi minus 750. We got it. Like maybe, but I don't think you'll be feeling good about that ticket.
Yeah, I mean, he'd have to score at least a knockdown in every round, I think, because he's going to be getting outworked, I imagine. But unless he all of a sudden comes out with great volume. But, yeah, it is what it is. Shoot, I got to kick this one off. Okay, couple Americans, Derek Lewis, Josh Hockett. Heavyweights here. Okay, so this one's tough. This is the one I've been getting criticism the most for all week, which is crazy. But so with obviously both guys have a clear path, right? Anybody telling you that both guys don't have a clear path is either lying to themselves or they're lying to you, or both. Because like Hockett is obviously the guy that's got more left in the tank at this point. He's 9-0 in MMA, younger, more, he has more left in the tank, right? But anybody that tells you that Derek Lewis can't knock out pretty much anybody probably anybody on the planet they're dumb or stupid or both. Like it's insane to think that Derek Lewis can't knock out Josh Hockett. He can. If Hokit, say Hokit wants to grapple and shoots a poor takedown or a takedown that like maybe the canvas is slippery and he doesn't get his footing just right. He comes in just a little bit off and Derek Lewis hits him with one and that's it. Or he goes out there and he says, I got to have a fun fight, get me a title shot next. And he goes out there and throws hands against Derek Lewis. It takes one. But at the same time, if Hokit takes down Derek Lewis, starts throwing some heavy ground and pound, that could be it. Or Derek Lewis could just stand up. I don't know. Like, it's so... Derek Lewis is fighting in front of the president, and he's the president's favorite fighter. Like, you know, what happens if the Secret Service all come around? They're just standing outside the cage, just kind of like, you know what I mean? That's probably not going to happen. But like, I'm rooting for Derek Lewis. I like Derek Lewis. And I don't know, Hokit's all right. He's all right. His media day this week was rough. That was so hard to watch. Like, none of those jokes landed at all. Crickets. It was hard to watch. But Derek Lewis had everybody laughing because, like, the dude's funny.
I only got like 30 seconds into it.
Dude, it was so hard to watch. It was
annoying because it was right after on my show. I literally said, I was like, you know, last time Hokit fought, I gave him hate for the antics, and I said, who is this for? And then I watched him come into like the press conference with like the hood and the lightsaber, and I was like, this is for me. And then he comes out here and he just starts to ruin it. Like,
oh, it was so bad.
Like, now it's not good anymore again.
Oh, it was so bad. Yeah, he didn't land on that one. But, like, you know what? Get on him shooting a shot, I guess. But yeah, I'm rooting Derek Lewis. I'm gonna take Derek Lewis because I want him to win. And I think, you know what? If he knocks him out, great. And if he does, though, that's gonna be a big hit to the incel community. And I feel like it's probably best to keep your kids out of school on Monday because that's not gonna be good for them. But at the same time, Derek Lewis for the president, and he's the president's favorite fighter. I think we got it. Let's go Derek Lewis knockout, hopefully in the first round, because I don't feel like it goes well after that. Couch, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100% that Derek can knock him out, and that was my primary concern, is that Hokit's reckless. Hokit's completely reckless. He just runs in there, and it's the perfect kind of fight for Derek Lewis to win, but it's also...
presumably has a broken hand. I forgot to say that.
Yeah, but I think Hokit can win this with 2 broken hands, honestly. I think that he just needs to push the pace on Lewis, and Lewis is going to fall apart. Like, I have nothing but respect for Derek Lewis, but, like, this line's probably accurate. You know, like 25% on Lewis. That's him getting the knockout. There's no world here where I can imagine him winning a decision. Like, I just don't see how he can possibly do it. Hokit will push a pace. Hokit does have the grappling edge. He can dictate where the fight takes place, whether he can keep Derek Lewis down or not. I know Lewis has this great ability to just explode up and stand up when it doesn't make sense, but he's also 41 years old now. I don't think it's going to be the same these days. I think he needs to knock out Hokit. I think it could probably happen in the first or second round. I don't think it has to be like right away. And Hokit needs to be a little bit careful, and he's not going to be, which is the concern. But I think Hokit's going to melt them. I don't think Derek can handle the pressure, and I do think Hokit's going to get him out of there ultimately.
Yo,
hey,
look at that.
What up, Clint?
That's what's up. Good to see you, buddy. Also, one more thing I wanted to mention. Derek Lewis, I believe, is still the only person left in the UFC that has a win over the lineal UFC heavyweight champion.
A
Just
decision
saying.
win.
The decision win, which is absurd, but he does have one. All right, Liam, what are your thoughts on this one?
If this fight goes to decision, just shut down the White House card 4 fights in. That would be fine by me. No, I'm half kidding. But when you look at a fight like this, I'll just, keep it a buck. Like, I think the price is probably close to right. With a guy like Derek Lewis, the thing is, like, he always has that great equalizer, right? So I think you have to put a price on Lewis KO, and that's probably his chance to win this fight, period, right? Because I just think the work rate of Josh Hokit is much higher. I think the cardio is vastly superior, and I think that the chances to mix up the fight in multiple phases are all on the side of Josh Hokit. And so that's what makes me lean towards Hokit winning this fight. It's just like he has way more things that could go wrong for him to still win, right? Like, if he fails the first takedown, I think he could still win, right? I don't think he's going to get tired failing a takedown, right? If he gets Derek to the ground, I think he's going to be in the driver's seat early. I don't think Derek will have an easy time getting up. I think that Josh will be at an energy advantage the whole way through. Like, as Derek explodes to get up, Josh will be like, okay, and just drop back down kind of thing. But the one thing I want to give credit to is that Derek Lewis has always been better, in my opinion, as an anti-grappler than as a pure striker. You put him in with a real striker, they kind of expose him more often than not, right? Volkov kind of fumbled the bag there down the stretch, but like most guys that can really strike at the UFC level, if you put him in there with Derek Lewis, they're going to tool him up, right? The problem is, most guys can't deal with the power. And so it's like, all right, if you can't deal with the power, then you need to take him to the ground. And a lot of guys get caught trying to take him to the ground. Curtis Blades being the primary example, right? Like, was doing okay on the feet, but was uncomfortable because he knows if I fuck up, this guy's going to kill me. And then he shot in and died. So it's just like, I do think that is the downside risk for Hoka here. If I like Lewis, I'm looking at Lewis KO because I feel like he's not even going to try to fight like point for point. I don't think that's what he does. I think he's literally going to hold his hands here and try and wait for a takedown attempt and go and lurch everything in his body through one shot. And if it lands, he's going to kill him. And if it doesn't, he'll probably go into cardiac arrest at the 7-minute mark. So I just think, Derek, you kind of know what you're getting, right? It's like that last fight against Waldo, he decided at a certain point, it's like, I'm good. So I think, Derek Lewis, KO, and KO1 are like the only things I would consider really on his side. I just don't think he's going to give you much beyond that, honestly.
Yeah, that's a fair take, and I'm hoping and praying for that KO1. Free, what are your thoughts on it?
I got kind of a counterintuitive, surprising stat for you guys. So in fights that start round 3, Lewis is 11-5. Even in the UFC, in fights that start round 3, Lewis is 9-3. He's got round 3 or 4 KOs over Nascimento, Volkov. We all remember that one. Volkov was killing him, and then he got kind of this weird like leg lift striking defense in the 3rd round for some reason. Knocked out Tybura in round 3, Shamil Abdurakhimov, Victor Pesta way back in the day. Most of those are like 8 to 10 years ago, I'll admit, but the Nascimento one, round 3 KO, was just like 2024, I think. He does surprisingly well in long fights. Does Hockett have better cardio? Yeah, I think so. But Lewis is so much better at like reserving his gas tank. He measures himself so much more because he doesn't do shit, right? But so Hockett, like this cardio edge and the pace, the guy just got outstruck a significant strike count by Curtis Blades. And Blades has underrated boxing, but he's not known as a volume monster, obviously. I think the cardio is a little like overstated here, mainly because Hockett just goes so hard. And, if this was a couple years ago, I would probably be on Lewis here because the way that Curtis Blades was blasting him, how tired Hockett was against Blades, how hurt he was against Blades multiple times, Lewis would have starched him. He'd be doing his crawl, and digging a hole. But yeah, lately he's just slowing down more than he used to, lower volume. The Waldo effort was incredibly uninspiring. I actually picked Hockett against Blades as a dog. That card, the line movement was incredibly sharp. There was 4 guys that went from a dog to a favorite, or in Carlos Olberg's case, a pick'em, and they all won. Cub Swanson and Kevin Holland being the other 2. And, Hockett closed as a slim favorite, an incredibly close fight, an epic fight. But the damage that he took, how much he slowed down, give me some pause here. I'll tell you what my bet is, though. It is Hockett KO over half a round, plus 165. The KO prop on its own is like minus 120, so I'm only getting 85 cents of value. But I really don't think he starches Derek Lewis in the first 2.5 minutes. If he's smart, which I don't think he is, he's not going to go in there and firefight with Derek Lewis. You got to prolong this fight. You got to grab a single leg and try to wear.
He's going to firefight. He's going to firefight.
It's tough because the aura of this card, I feel like guys might make some suspect decisions overall, top to bottom. But that's what I'm doing is Hockett KO over half a round plus 165.
There you go.
I'm not putting him in every parlay like some are.
I don't know how any. There are certain people you could assume, but then again, you probably would have assumed that with Francis Ngannou versus Derek Lewis that you could put Francis in all your parlays. So it's like one of them things. But yeah, it's just hard to parlay against Lewis because the dude can put anybody out. Oh, good. I'm glad I'm last on this one. The next fight, we only got 3 fights left. This is crazy. 7 fights is wild, guys. Seriously.
We could talk some next game, maybe
Mm-hmm. Next one, this is a fight that I'm super stoked for. We've got Sean O'Malley and Ayman Zahabi. Bantamweights, both guys towards the top of the division. Great. We got an American versus a Canadian, the North American rivals. This is going to be great. Couch, what are your thoughts?
I feel wrong doing this fight before Liam. Liam's been yelling Zahabi's name since as long as I can remember. I hopped onto the bandwagon relatively recently. I've been on him the last couple of times, but I know Liam's been riding him for a while. But I'll do my best to do him some justice. For me here, it's like I went into it hoping that I would like Zahabi. I like betting on the guy as an underdog. I think that he comes from a great camp. I think he comes in with very good game plans. I think he does a good job at staying defensively sound while still putting out offense. I think he's a good striker. But for me, it's just like over 3 rounds, like I feel like O'Malley has pretty much every conceivable advantage that I can think of, you know? Longer, rangier, faster, younger, probably has more power. He is the more accurate guy, better footwork. You know, both of them are relatively defensively sound, and then I don't have to worry about the grappling here. I don't think that Zahabi's going to take O'Malley down. I know there's been a lot of people harping on that. I don't think Zahabi's all that good of a wrestler, and I don't think O'Malley's takedown defense is that bad just because he's getting taken down by Merab and Peter Yan. So I don't really see much of a grappling path for Zahabi. I think this stays on the feet. I think there's a world where it could be close, and there's a world where Zahabi could get the decision. I thought that O'Malley against Song Yadong did not look very good, even though I do think that he won. I don't agree with the people calling robbery. I don't know how you give round 1 to Song Yadong, but that wasn't a great performance. What's up, my guy? That wasn't a great performance from O'Malley, and if he comes out looking like that, I do think Zahabi's live. But if O'Malley just comes out there, uses the footwork, manages the range, and just does his thing, I think he's going to be fine. And for me, the bigger question is, does he knock out Zahabi or is it a decision? And I get where people are coming from saying that he'll knock him out. Zahabi can be a little bit flat-footed, and I don't know how much the high guard is going to help him out here. And he is 38 years old, but I feel like Zahabi's pretty durable. And I feel like even when he gets rocked, he does recover quickly. So I kind of think it's going to be a decision for O'Malley, and yeah, that's where I'm at.
Fair enough. Well, there we go. We got 1 for O'Malley, Team USA. Love to see it. Liam is up next. I know he's a hobby guy, but let's see if he's an American first. Liam, let me hear what you got.
There's an expression that I love betting on fights, which is loyalty is plus EV. And, you know, I do think that there's a lot of value, a lot of merit in, you know, being willing to switch sides, being willing to say, hey, I'm getting off the train. And the thing is, like, if Amin was a pick 'em or, you know, it's a close price, then of course I'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to leave this alone. There's a chance I'll still leave it alone, but I do think it's a clear dogger pass situation, and I'll explain why. I bet Song Yadong last time out against O'Malley, and I honestly felt like he fought kind of the worst version of that game plan that he could have, and it was competitive, right? I thought that he clearly won the second round. I agree with you, Couch, that watching live, I actually was convinced that Song won the fight and the round, because I was like, you know, sitting there with my ticket, I'm like, yeah, he's doing great. He got the takedown late. But then you rewatch it and you're like, fuck, he kind of just kicked him in the leg, man. Like, he didn't do much, right? And the difference, I think, with a guy like Song Yadong is, like, Song is not really a great minutes fighter. Like, he can fight okay and win decisions, but, like, if he's not holding guys down on the mat, like, a lot of times he's just waiting to land knockout blows. Like, he's not really a guy that's keeping consistent volume out there on guys. And I felt like Sean was really uncomfortable at points in that fight, but then he realized, like, man, he's starting to fatigue from wrestling, and, like, now I can pick it up on him. And in round 3, he really showed, you know, a sense of urgency, I think, to kind of get ahead on the strike count and land some more impactful shots. I think when you look at Amin is much more clever than Song Yadong in how he fights, and he has to be. He doesn't have insane durability like Song, where he could just be like, yeah, hit me 1,000,000 times, I'll be fine. Like, he has to be way more precise and way more careful, and he shows up in great condition, which is why when he gets rocked, you are right to point out his recoverability is sensational, right? But you don't want to be getting rocked against O'Malley. That's the danger. It's like, O'Malley's one of these guys that has really pinpoint shots, and when he sees you, when he hurts you, he kind of gets a beat for it, and he follows up with shots that can put you out. So I've said it on a couple of these fights. Like, if I like Rufi, I'm not laying 750. I'd lay 200 and hope he gets the KO, because if he doesn't, I feel like something went wrong. I feel similar in this fight, where if I'm looking to invest in O'Malley, I'm looking at the KO and going, listen, you got a 38 going on 39-year-old guy who's been hurt and dropped in several fights. Finish the job, go put him away. That's the idea. And I say that as somebody who loves Amin. It's just like, he knows that. Like, he's not unaware. Like, he went out in the Aldo fight and got nearly knocked unconscious, woke back up and was like, I'm on your ass. That's the difference with Amin. And I think when you look for guys that you want to back as big favorites, I talk about that, like, you got to kill him to beat him. Like, they're going to give you everything. Mauricio Rufy, I don't feel that, which is why I can't get there. Sean O'Malley isn't like that. He's just not. He's a great fighter, very talented, very skilled. He's not like that. He maybe used to be. You go back and watch that Petr Yan fight, and you could see there was a dog in him. Now he's got money. Now he's got a comfortable life. Now he's been a champion. And I do feel that when you watch that Song Yadong fight, that's not the same guy that went with Petr Yan and was willing to go through the fire and willing to bleed with him and get rocked and whatever. He was like, this guy's giving it to me, then I'll take it. I just don't think Amin Zahabi's going to give it to you. If you knock out Amin Zahabi cold, he will go out. But other than that, why did Jose Aldo lose that third round where he rocked Amin, where he had him so badly hurt? Amin scrambled, whatever. Why did he lose that round? Because he saw a man in front of him who was not going to give up under no circumstance, and he had nothing left to give. And he was like, there's 3 minutes left. I just tried to kill him. I have nothing left to give, and he's on my ass. And Amin took him down, brutalized him, hit him with elbows, beat his ass. That was how that fight ended. If it's a fight to the death, bye, Jose. I'm sorry. That's the truth. Amin Zahabi in a fight to the death was going to beat Jose Aldo that night, period. So when you look at that and you say, a guy who this is his Super Bowl, this is his title fight, this is everything his entire martial arts career has been leading up to, this is the biggest opportunity of his life. He is going to come in with the best Firas Zahabi game plan that they could put together to kick this guy in the legs, probably to try and sit him on his butt a couple times. I don't think he's going to try and put on a wrestling masterclass. I think he's going to try and pressure him, move him backwards, get him uncomfortable, and land big shots. Because the other thing about Amin that is unremarked upon often is the fact that he randomly knocks guys cold himself. He hits guys and then they stop moving and they're asleep on the ground. So it doesn't happen every time. And it doesn't happen against the very best guys. But Amin Zahabi can knock people out too. So I look at Amin and how he's going to fight. I think he believes in his stand-up. I think he believes that if he fights smart, really technical the whole time, he could back up Sean and land shots and make him miss. And I think he could do some of that. Now, I do think he could get knocked out. But I say all that to say, respect on Amin Zahabi's name. I think that somebody mentioned in the chat, Zahabi decision, no bet. I think that is probably a smart way to get involved. We talked about Steve Garcia, could be ahead on the strike count, this type of thing. And you get to avoid that, hey, maybe he gets spilt and this looks bad, right? I think the same thing with this Zahabi fight. I think if this goes to the cards, it's probably going to be closer than people expect because I don't think Amin's a punk. I don't think he's going to get out grappled in this fight. And I think he can land shots on Sean and surprise him. So that's the way I feel. But I acknowledge like it's an uphill battle. I think Sean is a good fighter, but I thought last time out, some of the doubts I had about him from that Merab performance, where again, in my humble opinion, he just decided he'd had enough and wanted to get out of there and was like, please put me in something so I can, tap you 3 times and be done with this. I felt like that visual, him in the corner, his coach in the first Merab fight, like, come on, buddy, it's okay. We'll be done soon. All of that stuff I don't like. And I don't think Amin Zahabi's got any of that in him, period. So for that reason, dogger pass for me.
Here we go. We got a split there. Free, what do you think?
I was at that Sphere card. I was on Merab as a dog. It was the easiest underdog pick in a while, in my opinion. But I do have respect for Sean. I think he's much cleaner. I think Zahabi can only win a decision here. But the decision, no bet, is plus 400 for Zahabi. So I get it based on the odds. But I don't think he's finishing Sean. Interestingly, that Song Yadong fight, all the Twitter scorecards, which I never care about them, but just worth mentioning, they all had Song up 2-0 going into round 3. The media cards were almost split, just slightly in favor of Sean, but a very close fight, not a robbery, close fight, right? Zahabi has been on a great run, 7-fight win streak. The last 3 fights he won as a slim favorite. He won 4 straight fights as a sizable underdog before that. Like, gritty guy, smart guy, skilled guy, well coached. But I do see some problems with his striking defense. He gets a little flat-footed. He gets a little like Gumby-ish, kind of like a wacky waving inflatable arm flailing 2-man, like at the car dealership. He gets a little off balance. And like in the last moments of the Cheeto fight, Cheeto dropped him with the jab. He bounces back, yes. But and then at the end of that fight, incredibly exciting into the fight. But he's kind of like slipping all over, reaching. He does like weird striking defense with his hands sometimes. And Zahabi's been winning these close decisions. if there's one guy you're not going to get you're not going to get that close decision against, we know it's Sean. He always gets the judges' love. So I haven't parlayed Sean, but I kind of wish I did at minus 350. It's not much worse now, minus 450. But I'm getting a little more and more confident in Sean possibly getting a KO, probably a decision, but the KO is almost twice as good of odds. But I think Sean's just much more technical, better stuff up the middle, more diverse attack. So I'll go Sean, but struggling with the prop.
I got Sugar Show all day here, and let me tell you why. Here's the deal. I know Merab just lost, so he's trash now. Like, throw him out like yesterday's garbage. So, of course, O'Malley losing to Merab means he's absolute junk, because like you can't lose to trash and be anything better than like just scum of the earth. So that's how MMA math works, of course. But y'all forget Sugar beat Peter, and Peter's champ. So all of a sudden, Sugar's a little reinvigorated. And he came off that win over Song. Close fight. Song's a darn good fighter. I'll give him credit there. I mean, Song's looked great in his last, since the Sandhagen fight, essentially, is what I would say. He looked good in that fight too, but, got cut up or whatever. So, but yeah, Song's a darn good fighter. O'Malley beat him. And I think O'Malley's only lost to Merab that he hasn't got it back, because technically he lost to Cheeto, but then we saw the rematch. It wasn't even sort of close. Like it was more akin to a mugging than an MMA match. So yeah, I think O'Malley's just way better. People are going to be like, oh, but like Jan won that fight. Jan didn't win that fight, because they always point to the takedowns as why Jan won. Whatever happened to damage over control? Jan didn't do anything with those takedowns. Not
Jan won that fight, bro.
Jan did not win that fight.
Jan won that fight. And when Sean wins this one and gets his rematch, Jan is going to beat the living daylights out of him.
Sugar's going to beat up on
See,
Peter.
this is why Sean's going to throw the fight, guys, because he's going to look and go, Piotr Jan is going to do unearthly fucking things to me if I have to fight this guy again.
Dude.
So he's going to fold the tent before the fight even starts.
You know what? You're right. Zahabi by KO.
Sugar's going to beat Zahabi. Then he's going to go in there and beat up Peter, and he's going to be the champ again. So let's go Sean O'Malley in front of Team America here. We got Sean O'Malley winning for the good old USA, leading into the next two fights, which we kind of need an American here, because it's tough sledding after this. But unless we count Poetan as an American, considering he lives in Connecticut. He was the answer to that question, by the way, because he lives in Danbury, Connecticut now. So, but yeah, I think Sugar. I think he beats him up pretty easy. So there we go.
If it was pride rules, and the fight is judged as a whole, then yeah, that big knee up the middle that cuts Jan wins it. But when that knee up the middle that cuts Jan can only win one round,
Sugar outstruck him in every round. There's no single round that Jan outstruck him. The minutes he won were on the takedowns, and like he didn't do any damage with it.
He absolutely rocked O'Malley. You got to rewatch that fight, bro.
Okay, he did hurt him a little. Okay, he did hurt him once. Yeah, in what was it, round 2 or 1?
O'Malley hurt him, and he was like, "Oh, fuck you, bro!" And he came back with a big combo and hurt O'Malley bad.
Yeah, O'Malley won 2 out of 3 rounds. I remember watching it live, and I remember rewatching it. O'Malley won 2 out of 3 rounds. Outstruck him 100%. Go back and rewatch it. Either way, we'll move on to the co-main event for the interim heavyweight championship. Somehow Cyril Gane found himself in another one. And Liam's going to kick us off on this. We've got Alex Pereira looking to get his 3rd or 2.5 belts, depending on if you count the interim as a whole belt or not. He's taking on Cyril Gane, the forever contender, the forever interim fighter. Liam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is a fascinating fight, honestly. The thing that jumps out to me from a meta standpoint, aside from the fighting, I'll talk about those details of the matchup and whatever as well. But one thing that just jumped off the page at me is like you have the ultimate big game player in the UFC, Alex Pereira, and you've got the ultimate bag fumbler in Cyril Gane. That for me is like a meta point over top of this fight is like every time Alex is back up against the wall, big pay-per-view, need to win it. He fucking smokes somebody, puts on an insane performance. There's been times where 80% of the bets, 80% of the tickets are on Pereira. He's minus 120. You're like, well, surely this is the time, somebody's going to snipe him from the outside or something. and he just goes out there and smokes him again. You're like, okay, like I guess they just pay this guy every time, right? And maybe this is the time where, you know, the public gets its reckoning and like everybody thinks it's Pereira and he gets smoked. I look at Gane against Aspinall and I was impressed because he did better than we expected, right? He did better than the market thought. I thought he won the first round, as much as we saw take place, right? But I also didn't see like, oh my God, Gane was whooping him in such a way. It was dominant. I was like, well, no, like he kind of just busted his nose. And so one guy's kind of leaking and both guys are, you know, looking for their shots. But the thing that was weird was that Aspinall was like kicking. And I was like, what the fuck? Like Aspinall is normally like up here, like moving the upper body, making you miss, and then just throwing back a 1-2 real fast with his chin up and knocking you dead. That's his thing. Instead, he was like throwing kicks, throwing high kicks, throwing middle kicks, leg kick. I'm like, where is this game plan coming from? So it just felt like Aspinall was kind of fighting against form, and Gane was doing a good job, just sticking to the basics, pop, you know, just throwing his jab, being loose on his feet. And I thought that was a good game plan for him. But when I look at those things that Aspinall was doing to Gane, they all seem to me like things that Pereira does better than Aspinall, like throwing kicks to all levels of the body. Pereira has head kick knockouts in the UFC. Pereira has hurt guys to the leg multiple times in the UFC. The guy, I don't really see him as like a body kicker, but he's a body puncher. So he's going to throw to all levels. He's a guy that can really rip up different parts of the body. He can hurt you everywhere. He stays present for 5 rounds. He doesn't have to be up on the cards to knock you dead one time and then the fight's over in his favor. And I feel like all of those are big things that are in the favor of Alex, right? Like he's moving up in weight. He's a bit of an older guy, right? These are the things that are working against him, right? He's, you know, when guys add weight to their frame, sometimes they show up looking like shit. I think of Luke Rockhold against, what was his name? Jan Blachowicz, right? He shows up, he looks like $1 million for a bodybuilding competition, but like 2 minutes into an MMA fight, he's like, he's in cardiac arrest, you know? That's the kind of thing that you want to avoid. I don't think Pereira has just like been doing like a bodybuilder's camp or something, right? He kind of has like the same little dough layer that John Jones brought up to heavyweight, which is like, hey, you know, I need to get up there and weight and want to try and compete and, you know, not get muscled around and horsed around physically by these guys. Gane's a big guy, right? Gane's an athletic guy. And it seems like Gane's going to come out here and try to wrestle and grapple with Poatan, which would probably be a good strategy. Hey, let's see if being the bigger man is enough to just rip this guy to the ground and lay on top of him. I took down Francis Ngannou. Like, I could probably get on top of this guy. That's the line of thinking. And it's like, I could see some logic to that, right? I believe this is a pros versus Joes betting scenario where most of the betting public is going to be on Pereira. Almost every really sharp guy I know likes the Gane side in this matchup, truthfully. And the reason they like him is because he's big, younger, athletic, can move well. And his last fight shows as not a win, even though he was fighting great and arguably looked career best. So I think that's the positive upside case for Gane. The downside negative case for Gane is that against John Jones, he got punked in such a way that like he didn't look like he had any business being in a world title fight of any kind, right? And when he fought Francis, the UFC was like doing anything in their power to set Francis up to fail, right? They have him fight this fight against his teammate, a guy who's coached him for his entire MMA career is coaching against him. And then it's just like you watch how Gane fumbles that bag when everything was set up for him to succeed. The UFC's behind him. They're like, you're going to do it, kid. And he fucking fails at the finish line. You're just like, this guy doesn't seem like a big game player. And that for me is my deciding factor. It's like when you have a card that's a little out of the ordinary and there is more flair and spectacle and all these things, who can handle pressure is a big thing. And it's like Alex Pereira is fucking stone cold, man. Like he'd fight you in the fucking parking lot. You know what I mean? And I just feel like Ciryl Gane, when it gets down to it, he's just got a little bit more give in him, right? I feel like if it's Pereira, you got to take it from him. Israel Adesanya knocked him stone cold. If you can do that, you can get it. Other than that, he's just not going to give it to you. So I feel like Pereira is probably going to win this fight. And even if he's down, even if he's down 2 rounds, like, oh my God, Gane's having the fight of his life. I feel like one mistake and he's, doing the long nap. So that's the way I feel.
There we go. All right. Shout out to Mick Pooperton. I got to shout out my boy. He's a channel member, so I always got to shout him out, especially when he drops in the chat when he doesn't have a lot of time. So, Mick Pooperton, good to see you, my friend. We can move on to Free. What are your thoughts on this co-main event matchup?
Really fun one. You know, one of the closest lined title fights we've seen in a while. The Olberg one was very close as well, but it's kind of rare, right? So very exciting. Two studs, an opportunity to make history for Poatan, right? Gon really impressed me in the Aspinall fight. I had Aspinall in so many freaking parlays, and I felt saved because it was close, but I felt like that boulder was rolling downhill. Gon was just toying with him, just walking backwards, circling away from the power. And Tom was just so flat-footed and looked terrible, really. You know, the John Jones loss is embarrassing, though. That was like really chunky Jones, not the shredded, roided out Jones that we saw his whole career and against Stipe. Like, Jones looked physically the worst we've ever seen him. And like just his movement, he didn't look good. And then he bitched Gon like John Jones hasn't bitched anybody in a long time. It took him until round 4 or whatever to get Stipe out of there. We're talking about John Jones who couldn't finish OSP, who lost on one judge's scorecard to Thiago Santos. I almost said Thiago Silva. That's a real throwback. He lost on one judge's scorecard to Thiago Santos, who went on to lose 7 of his next 8 fights. He arguably lost against Gustafsson, who like never won a fight again. Lost to Reyes, who went on like a 4-fight losing streak. Guy couldn't finish Anthony Smith, Glover, Roundtree, like terrible guys. Ankalaev, who doesn't finish anybody. Like everybody finishes Anthony Smith, but not John Jones. And he made Cyril Gahn look like such a chump. Now, is that especially relevant here? I would think no, but a lot of people have just been like playing these absurd Poatan submissions. I don't think it's hitting here, but you know, everyone's been waiting for Poatan to try to wrestle. Gahn's so big that I don't see it happening, and we're all expecting a striking fight here, of course. But the quit, the give, as Liam put it, I think is the long-winded point. I just don't really have faith in his heart or his desire, his work ethic. He just wants, like, he's a stud athlete. I mean, he's out there doing 360 dunks, but he's like on the basketball court. He's playing FIFA. Like, Poatan is just training nonstop, training with Glover, trying to get better every day. Poatan has more pride and like wants to win for his coach more than Gahn does, in my observation. It's a close fight. The reason I'm fairly confident in Ankalaev is the low kicks. I think he's going to batter Gahn. We've seen Gahn hurt with low kicks. Like Volkov is landing some nice ones. Tuivasa is landing some nice ones. Like we've seen Gahn just not check them at all and show like physical damage with like, you know, like when you get hurt in a fight, you try everything you can to not let the opponent know. He'll take a low kick and like visibly affect his gait for a couple seconds. So, you know, you could argue that Gahn's never lost a striking fight, which is, I suppose, true. But, I mean, just the boneheaded decisions. He's fighting Francis Ngannou, who's on a bum knee and drops back, you know, loses position in round 5 and loses that opportunity. So, yeah, I just lots of question marks about Gahn. I don't think he has the best boxing, like in the pocket. If Poatan can close the range, which he has far better footwork than Aspinall, of course, even with that extra junk in the trunk that he's got right now, I think if he gets inside in the pocket, he's going to be blasting Gahn with anything he wants. Gahn's really got to try to keep distance and circle. He's going to be on the back foot. I mean, try running a mile backwards and see how fast you get gassed. So I think Poatan's going to have like the cardio edge, footwork edge, power edge, and the low kicks are going to batter Gahn.
Fair enough. Okay. All week, I keep hearing people say how Pereira looks fat. And like, that's absurd. 2 things. He just doesn't look dehydrated. That's it. Like, he's in great shape. You can even see his abdominal muscles. The only reason they don't look as like.
I mean, he's got a little bit of love handles. He's got a little bit.
Big. His butt is big,
Slight. Like, he's bigger, but it's not because he's fat. Show that whatever woman you have around you, show a picture of Alex Pereira at his current form to her. I promise you, she says that's the ideal male physique. I promise you. Big old thick trunk, still got good abs, looking jacked. Like, get out of here, dude. Plus, he's 6'4", so he's got that going for him. But still, like, I promise you that he's not fat. Like, that's absurd to think. He's just not dehydrated. That's it. Like, he's cut up still. Like, he's still in great shape. I promise he's not going to come in there all fat and like jiggly. Like, it's not a thing. Like, the slightest bit of love handle maybe, but slight.
A decent bit, bro. Decent bit.
like he's fit, man. Like
He's
get
definitely
out of
fit.
here.
Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying.
He's not looking all fat. Like you can still see like visible abdominal muscles. Like I'm not like
It's just
it's crazy.
you know, like fighting in this heat and humidity, the biggest he's ever been. I think it's something to consider.
I think he's gonna be fine on that. But
I'm
also,
telling you guys, they have to have some kind of super fans there or air conditioner. There's no way. There's no way they let them fight in 90-degree heat.
well,
With
I mean,
$60 million?
Yeah, but you can't have a fan that blows hard enough to make a difference in that heat, like actually on there, because it just wouldn't work. Like that would just be blowing too much. Like you can't do that.
It's gonna be pushing the small guys. You see Sean and Zahabi are just being pushed by the fan.
Oh, like, what are you gonna like? You can't just have like a little box fan in there. That's not enough. But if anything big enough to like actually make a difference in that heat, it's just not. It's not gonna like it. You can't do that. So no, I don't think so. Because it will affect things. Like there's no way. So I mean, they might have like big like overhead fans, but even then, like it can't be one that's actually putting off enough to really make that much of a difference in that heat. Pereira lives second closest to the event, so obviously like the climate is closer where like to what he's used to than a lot of other people. I know Gon's been out there for like a week and a half or so like he's at least used to it, but my wife chimed in just a second ago and said that's not enough time for heat acclimation. So, you know, it depends where Gon's been before that. So apparently she's on it. So there we go. She's paying attention out of one ear. But yeah, I think Alex is I think Alex has all the tools to win this fight, and we've never really seen Gon just have one shot, put your lights out power. When he hurts people, he can finish them, but it's not one shot and you're done. And like I think Pereira's, I mean, obviously we've seen him get knocked out at 185 pounds, but realistically, like he probably shouldn't have been 185 pounds.
Right.
You know, that's like saying like, could I get to 115 pounds? Yeah, I probably could, but I'm not going to perform well. You know, so like it's you know it's one of those things. I think Gon is going to have a hard time dealing with the leg kicks. I think Gon's going to have a hard time dealing with the power coming back his way. And he's going to, Gon's going to have like a lot more flashy footwork. He switches stances really well. He's smooth and all this stuff. He's a clean operator, but like none of that's causing damage. He's still got to come in there and land on the guy. And if even if Gon lands 2 for every 1 Pereira's landing, I think Pereira's hitting way harder. And it's like over time, over 5 rounds, like that adds up. So I'm going to take Pereira. I won't be surprised if Gon wins, but kinda like just a little bit. Plus, you know, Pereira lives in Connecticut and we're on Team America. So let's go Pereira. Couch, what do you got?
So first thing I want to say, what I still remember is over the week, I saw some people saying like, you know, Pereira's not going to be able to knock out Gon. Gon went 25 minutes with Francis Ngannou. Francis landed 9 shots to the head throughout 25 minutes. And that's a fact. I'm not exaggerating. He literally landed only 9 shots to the head. Significant shot.
I couldn't take 9 shots to the head from Francis. So
fair enough. But, you know, let's not pretend like he went to war with Francis for 25 minutes and took the best he can handle. Like, no, that's not at all what happened. So I do think this is probably going to be some of the most serious power that Gon has ever faced, even with Pereira moving up. That's something I spoke about on my channel. Is like, I don't know how the power will translate, but just based off of the fact that Pereira was just deading people left and right at 205 and 185, I have to think it's going to translate. And he does look like he's in shape for the most part. And for me, it really comes down to 3 things that I think Pereira has over Gon that I think are important. And you guys kind of touched on all of them already, but leg kicks, nasty leg kicks. What's Gon's best weapon, his best attribute? He's light on his feet, and he has really, really good footwork. That's by far like the most important thing about Cyril Gon. Leg kicks are going to take away a lot of that. Second part is cutting the cage, right? I spoke about this on my video. You know, pressure is one thing, but I would say that the majority of the UFC roster doesn't properly cut the cage, and they just chase. Whereas Alex Pereira actually does do it properly. He slowly walks them down, and you see him cutting the cage, so they got nowhere to go, and that's when he kills them. And he does it pretty much all the time. So that, And on top of that, I think he's got more heart. I think he's got more dog in him. If you tell me this is going to be a war, if you tell me like they're going to be throwing down, and I do think it's going to be a striking affair, I have to think that like I rather trust Pereira at a close line than I would Gane in a fight like that. I also wanted to talk about like the grappling. I've seen some people saying maybe Gane's going to grapple Pereira because that used to be a weakness of Pereira's. And Tyler, you can speak to this. We've done these pay-per-views together. I've bet against Pereira plenty. With Ankalaev the first time, it was a max bet. And then I bet ITD the second time. And the first time, going into it, if you had told me that Ankalaev shot 12 takedowns, I would have bet everything I had that he got at least one. Everything. I would have bet literally anything I could on it. He didn't even get a single one. Pereira defended very, very, very well in that fight. And Ciro Gane is able to take people down because he's very athletic and he can do pretty much anything. But he's not an excellent wrestler. He's not even a great wrestler, or I would say even a good wrestler. He can just kind of mix it in when he has to. And I don't think that's going to work on Alex Pereira at this point. I really don't. And even if he does take Alex up, I think Alex is going to work his way back up to the feet. At worst, he gives up one round, but I just personally don't think it's going to happen. And I think sooner or later, the constant pressure, the constant leg kicks, the constant just him being in his face, I think he's going to catch Gane at some point and put him away. And I think a decision's possible too, but I think Pereira makes history. I'm considering this an undisputed belt because I think Aspinall's not coming back. I don't know how you can sign with Eddie Hearn and then have him coming in here acting the way he's acting and then expect there's no way. There's no way. UFC's going to offer him terrible terms to fight the winner of this. He's going to say no way. Eddie's going to say no way. It's going to be a whole drama. We're going to wait a year and then he's going to give up the belt. We're not going to see Aspinall in the UFC again. That's my prediction. And Pereira is going to end up being the undisputed champ. So I consider this the undisputed belt.
The good thing about the heck was that? The good thing about this one, though, that's a little different than something just fell. Sorry, but that's different about what happened with Aspinall when he was waiting around for the thing. Is the UFC likes Pereira, so they'll probably speed this process along and just make it the undisputed title way quicker than they did for Aspinall because. For whatever reason, they don't like him, which I think was crazy because they had no reason to dislike him up until maybe right now, but with the whole Eddie Hearn thing. But before that, they had no reason to, but they like Pereira. So I don't think they're going to do the same thing they did to Aspinall where they kind of kick the can down the road and defend the interim, whatever. Maybe they do once if they think they can still make the fight. And Pereira really does want to turn around really quick, like he says. But yeah, I don't think they kick the can down the road as long this time. So that's nice. We can move on to the main event, though, and a crazy main event this is. We have Ilia Topuria defending his undisputed 155-pound lightweight championship against the interim champion, Justin Gaethje. And I'll get into my my stuff here in a moment because Free is going to kick this one off, but it's a pretty crazy fight to have at the White House. So I'm thinking this could go – there's potential that this is a Rocky movie, but either way, Free, kick it off.
Yeah, Justin is big, right? We all love Justin, the highlight. But I've been popping Topuria and parlays for a couple months. Just so dangerous. People think of him just as a pressure guy, but Volk did a really cool YouTube breakdown actually where he broke down this fight and he was just giving Ilia so much credit. About this mid combo lateral shuffle adjustment that he did to get that finish against Volk. His footwork is underrated. If you ask MMA fans who's the best boxers, they might come up with 5, Topuria included, but Poirier, Holloway, right? Boxers will say without hesitating, Topuria and Petr Yan. So much power, background in jiu-jitsu. He's been wanting to sub people, but he just cracks them too fast. I don't think Justin's going to get takedowns here. Justin does kind of a funky thing. We all love his low kicks in the pocket. It's really unique that he throws those. But he shifts his head to the side, which to Topuria, I think those are going to be so counterable, so easy to see coming, so easy to land heavy hooks on him when Justin does try throwing those low kicks in the pocket. Justin's got maybe the best uppercuts in the division, and that could be useful against a short guy. But Topuria's been fighting big guys. Beat Max. Max was looking good. And Volk was looking good because Max and Volk were using more footwork. whereas Charles just came forward like a bull out of there in round 1. Volk lasted to 2. Holloway lasted to 3. I think Justin is somewhere in between those. He's not quite as aggressive with the forward pressure as Charles, but he's certainly not as nimble and mobile and just rangy and intelligent as Max and Volk. So, I hate parlaying a KO prop at minus 225. You kind of have to pick around here. So I've just been popping Topuria and some safe little stuff. I need him to come through. But an epic fight, 2 likable guys. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it is going to be a blast. And did you intentionally call Ilya a short guy because Justin Gaethje's dad did?
No.
And he got mad about it?
Have you seen the interviews this week? It's like, besides the obvious, what would you change about yourself? And all of them are like, what do you mean besides the obvious? Like Derek Lewis took offense to it. Ilya took offense to it. It's hilarious. But yeah, Ilya, he's a swagger hound. Like that guy, his confidence, I think, makes him is part of his unbeatability. The white rose instead of a red rose. This guy's just cold-blooded.
Dude, still though, super funny he got upset that he got called short because, I'm short. He is short. It's just short. It's just what it is. But yeah, okay. So,
shorter than Justin. Like it doesn't matter who's short and who's tall.
Definitely.
He's shorter than his opponent, is why I say.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I want Justin to win. I'm rooting for him 100%. I got him in the Team America parlay, obviously, because if that cashes, it's like plus 9,000 something. And that's just all the Americans that are fighting someone that's not an American. So I got him in it. Of course, I don't think it's gonna hit, but it'd be cool. I think Ilya Topuria wins at a very high percentage, but I'm just hoping that this is the one time, and Justin Gaethje can win, and that'd be amazing. It'd be like a Rocky story, And if you're Justin though, and you win, if you somehow win this fight, you have to retire, right? Like even if you were like, I want to defend this belt or whatever, dude, this is the moment where it's like, I just won the title at the White House. Like you can never top that. So you kind of just have to. You kind of just have to take it. So if I'm Justin and I somehow pull off a win, I would retire whether I'm ready to retire or not at that point and just say, you know what? There's nothing I can ever do that's going to beat that moment. You take the O off of a guy that's 17-0. He's 2-division champion, defending champion of both divisions. You finally win the world title at the White House. Like, yeah, that's it. You can't beat that. I think Ilya beats him. I'm still rooting for Justin. I'm team Justin all day for this one. And you know what? That's what we're caring about for this card is who I want to win. So
can I mention two quick things I forgot to mention?
Yeah.
I've been cashing on Justin. I was on him against Patty. I bet the shit out of him against Patty. Fizzy the first time, cashed a plus 2,400 split decision prop.
Nice.
I love Justin. He's come through for me so many times. He is the most profitable underdog in UFC history. He's 8-2 as a dog.
I think it's 8-3, isn't it?
I think he's 8-2. I could be wrong. But he lost the Dustin Poirier fight was like a pick'em, and then he's only 2-2 as a favorite for obviously negative ROI. But I think he's 8-2 as a dog. But he's been finished in every loss, especially concerning here. Even
the Holloway loss, which was with 1 second left, he was finished. So yeah, you're right. But yeah, that's how he fights. He just puts it all out there. So Couch, what are your thoughts here?
Dude, if Gaethje beats him, Armin is going to be unbearable on Twitter. He's going to be on a historic social media tour. It's going to be unbearable. So, and I love Armin. I'm one of the few Armin Sarukian fans out there, and I have been for a long time. He's going to be unbearable if Justin wins. Also, everybody talking about the $1 million bet. If you watch that video, he did not want to put $1 million on that bet, bro. I forget the first amount he was saying. I think he wanted to put like 10K on it, which to me is a lot. To Armin, that is not a lot of money. But then they start pressuring him. The guys he was with, I don't remember who it was, and he ended up putting $1 million on it. So,
but how did he do that without violating any sort of UFC terms, or does he not care?
I have no idea. It might just be a promotional thing. They're all kind of doing it now. I have no idea. I don't really care that much. As long as they're not betting on their own fight, I don't really care. But for this fight, like, yeah, I think Topuria's going to win. I think he'll probably knock him out. I think that I just don't think Justin has much of an answer for Topuria. But, man, I really wanted to bet the sub. I feel like there's a lot of value on the sub. It's like plus 500. Everybody forgets that Topuria was a grappler first, and he's a really, really good grappler, and he's really slick. And Justin can struggle with that. But, like, I normally never care about what a fighter says in an interview. I don't believe them. I believe Ilya when he says something, and he said it like very specifically. He's like, I am not going to be grappling in this fight. If anyone grapples, it won't be me. I'm going to knock him out. I believe him. I wouldn't believe anybody else, but him I believe, and because of that, I'm not betting on the sub. But I think there's a lot of value on the sub. And if Justin does somehow make him uncomfortable and makes him deviate from the plan, then I think we see Ilya grapple, and then I think we see him submit Justin. But I think it'll probably be a knockout. I don't think it happens super early. I think it maybe happens a little bit later. I think Ilya takes a little bit of time to make his read sometimes as well. But I think he gets it done.
Fair enough. Liam, wrap us up on the main event.
Yeah, I'm going to largely echo a lot of your guys' sentiments. I mean, I have thought Ilya Topuria was the best fighter in the world for a long time. Certainly right up there, right? Islam Makhachev is another contender, but, I thought he was going to beat Volk when he fought him, and he was a dog. And it's kind of just ever since then, he's become unplayable in a lot of spots, I feel, where it's just like he's a huge favorite against an elite guy. And like so far, it hasn't been a problem for him, right? He's just been delivering. The one thing I will say that's an X factor here, he's been out for a year and he's been dealing with a lot of stuff on the personal side. You talked about, he's got great grappling. He's an excellent wrestler. And he's talking about, I'm going to handicap myself coming in here. I'm not going to use that. Okay. Not a good idea, right? Like, and especially like, I wouldn't tell people, right? Like I wouldn't be like, hey, advertise, I'm not going to grapple. Just so you know, change your defense, right? I'm not going to grapple. Like, I would want my opponent to be guessing. I wouldn't just be like, so here's the plan, right? And lay it all out for them. But Ilya is so special that it hasn't been a problem, right? Max has never been knocked out. He knocks him cold, right? Charles, one of the more dangerous guys in the UFC. He not only stops the grappling while it was taking place, reverses position, ends up on top. He then finishes him on the feet in devastating fashion. So you just have to admire what he's done in the UFC. I think some of the things he's done early on have aged fantastically well, right? Yusuf Zalal, he wrestled him every which way but loose, had 10 different submission attempts, couldn't finish them. But all that we saw in that fight was that he dominated Yusuf Zalal thoroughly. And Zalal has gone on to be a very productive UFC fighter. Granted, it took him some time. But at the time, people were like, what a bum. Zalal lost as a minus 180. That's the nature of the business, right? And last time out, Justin Gaethje impressed me with what he was able to do against, goodness gracious, the Paddy Pimblett, right? I thought he did a great job in that fight, but I was a little bit disappointed with the lack of killer instinct, with the lack of pouring it on when Paddy was in danger, with the neutral positions where he's like holding the front headlock, taking rescue breaths. And like, I just don't think Ilya is going to give him those same opportunities, right? Like, I think the way Justin wins this fight is via KO, right? No secret. But I just think he could win a decision, I guess. But more often than not, I think he will be struggling to deal with what Ilya brings to the table. I just think we know and have to respect that Ilya is a human being, right? He's been hurt before. It's not like he can't be touched on the chin. He can be hurt. And he can, be rocked, right? He got hit with a head kick from Jai Herbert, sent like a shockwave through his system. But then he got to the takedown. He showed off an ability to mix it up, to use those different skills. So big favorite, Ilya makes a lot of sense to me. I just think he's better in more places, more paths to victory. But the price is prohibitive for me. So Couch said he wouldn't want to get to the sub. I kind of get it, given the price, given, his stated plan for the fight and, the location, the venue, everything like that. But I also think back to the Bryce Mitchell fight. He beat the shit out of Bryce in that fight. But it ends via sub almost like by happenstance. Bryce was just ready to go, and he locked his hands in what could vaguely be described as a choke. And Bryce was like, get me the fuck out of here. And, I don't think Justin's a quitter or anything like that. But if you watch back that Charles Oliveira fight, he gets rocked. right? Everybody talks about, it's hard to put him away with strikes early. It's like, yes, that's true. But Charles did everything but that, right? He hurt him so bad and then just followed him to the ground for an elementary submission after. So I do think that Ilya might drop him, hurt him, and Justin's a tough guy, man. He's hard to put away. You look back at that fight where Chandler rocked him, he just gets his equilibrium back and starts throwing and hurts Chandler. So he's a dangerous guy at all points, but I just think his style, his willingness to engage, it's what got him absolutely flatlined in one of the all-time memorable KOs in UFC history against Max. And Max is not known for being a power puncher, not known for being a guy who drops guys with one shot. And he put him out flat cold for minutes. And I just feel like that's not a good recipe against Ilya. So I got to pick Ilya to get the job done here.
And that's it. We've gone through all 7 fights. Holy cow, guys. What a card. I'm stoked for that. Like, this is going to be super, super fun to watch. Well, hopefully. I mean, I imagine it will. They said they're going to do the thing where they like tell the story of the United States and like kind of like they did with like the story of Mexico.
Did they actually tell the story of Mexico?
I don't know. That was a couple years
of
ago now. I can't quite remember. I remember it being super cool. But
yeah, it was cool, but I don't remember them like telling a story. Unless I missed that part.
It showed like the Aztec type of temple, like a stone pyramid, and then it showed like that boxing room where Valentina and Alexa fought, right? It was like all the statues of the guys. And then the final fight was like the future of Mexico. It was a little goofy and it seemed like it was like written by white people. But
checks out. Probably was.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Well, hopefully this one's a little better. I mean, it's man, like I'm obviously Dixon wants a parlay from us. Golly. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We can all throw together a crazy leg for something fun. I'll let let's see. Liam went last, so let's let Free kick it off first. Just throw out just any leg you like. I'll pull up a calculator here.
So it's rare that the DraftKings same game parlays are better than FanDuel because I thought I'd do like FanDuel, Hockett, KO, fight to start round 2 or something. But yeah, I'm gonna pick the Hockett KO over half a round plus 165 as my parlay leg.
Okay, there you go. So far we got a plus 165. Couch, do you have anything ready?
Yeah, let's go Garcia decision.
Okay, what do you got that at?
Plus 550 on DK.
Plus 550. All right, Liam, you got one ready?
I see it's still plus money. Nickel inside the distance. I think he's going to smoke him on it, unfortunately.
What number are you seeing on preferably DK?
I'm seeing like you said DK?
Yeah, I think that's what everybody else had.
Okay, let me double check here what book this is.
What was Free's bet? Free, which one did you pick?
Hockett KO over half a round. You got to do like an SGP.
I'll bet this live right now.
So nickel ITD on DK is minus 110. If you want to do the more aggressive play, I personally believe it's a KO, which is like plus 2XX.
If we just go ITD, we're already with just your 3 legs. We're at minus 3,108. I mean, plus 3,188, and I'm about to add a crazy one, so I think they'll be okay with it. Don't worry.
It's gonna look minus 3,000, baby.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm gonna go. Pereira KO round 3 at plus 1,000 to add to that. And that, my friends, gets you to plus 36,073.
Yes.
So there we go. Dixon, I hope you like that. I hope you heard all those. I've been waiting for you. I mean, you put $100 on that sucker and like you're sitting pretty. I mean, that's like a year's salary for some people. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So there you go. So KO round 3. I don't know if that's necessarily when he gets it done, but hopefully he does over 2.5 rounds. So the end of round 3, Pereira KO. That's what I'm saying. But yeah. All right. Let's pass it around so everybody can say what you got going on, all that fun stuff. Let's kick it off. Let's kick it off with Couch. What's going on for you this week?
Well, I already did my pod. If you want to listen to me for another 45 minutes, talk about the same fights, feel free to go on my channel and check that out. Timestamps are up. You could skip around. I'm going to put up the shorts. It's not going to be tomorrow morning. It will either be later tomorrow or on Saturday because fights aren't until Sunday. So kind of have a little bit more of time there. But if you're not familiar with what that is, for every single card, I do 1 minute or less breakdowns for every single fight, and that goes up on my YouTube channel, and you can watch those if you don't want to watch the long form stuff. And as always, thank you to my co-host Tyler for doing the show with me. Thank you to everybody watching. Thanks to Liam and Free for coming in here. Always a pleasure, and looking forward to the fights.
Heck yeah, dude. Liam, what about you, man? What do you got going on this week? And do you have any other content still coming out or whatever?
Yeah, man. I'm actually dropping the first episode of MMA Therapy with my guy, MMA Locker Room. Something we've been kicking around a little bit. We always get on the phone and talk about the fights in advance. And he was like, why don't we just do this as a show? So, now we're going to be spinning that out. But it's a new format, so it took us a little bit of downloading and finicking and trying to figure out the right things. But that's going to be up today. So looking forward to it, first episode. And
what's
that's
the format?
Basically, we're just talking through the fights, and he goes through and talks about his bad past relationships with these fighters, and I try and give him the right advice about how we're gonna attack it moving forward. So
sick, I'll check that out.
Love
If you
that.
guys are doing therapy over there's a lot of fighters you can bring on that might be very helpful to them.
We have no licensure. All right, this is don't come to us for medical advice, but we will have fun and talk about the bets and the fights. So if you guys enjoy the kind of conversation we're having here, you'll enjoy that kind of conversation as well.
Perfect. Free, what do you got going on?
I got to just say, I love all three of your shows. You don't bash fighters. You have great insight, but you treat the fighters with respect. Some of these shows are just like, he's a bum. Oh, if you bet this a week ago at minus 150, great. But now at minus 170, that's crazy. You guys are sharp, profitable, kind. So I love all of your shows. I'm mainly just on Instagram for UFC bet picks. Come by.
Perfect. There you go. For me this week, I think I'm done this week, but next week I plan to have a couple of more prospects for the prospect hot seat. I've been doing those. I linked up with a management team a while back that manages some fighters, and they've been giving me some people to interview because they want to get them some exposure. So I'll probably put a couple of those out next week. I have, 4 of them, 5 of them up right now. So already, so you can check those out. They're fun. And I want to do another episode of MMA Guess Who, but here's the thing. My audience is mostly degenerate gamblers. And since they can't make money, they don't care. But anybody that's watched that video has been like, dude, this is awesome. And I'm like, I know, dude, the few people that watched that video, I had the guys from Chronic Combat Conversations on against each other in MMA Guess Who. And first off, that's already good because those guys are fantastic dudes.
They're so funny together, bro.
Dude.
Every time I'm on that podcast, it's
so
me
good.
in the middle, them on top,
Mm-hmm.
and you just feel like a kid with when your parents are splitting up and you don't know whose side to take, and they're just screaming at each other from on top of you and from underneath you. They're
Dude,
so funny, bro.
Imagine playing Guess Who with them. It was so much fun. I was in the middle. I was moderating, and these guys, if you haven't watched the episode, do it. It's so much fun. They're on either side of me trying to guess who the fighter is by asking questions and stuff. And it's great. And I need to get another episode going. I want to do it, but that first one got 100 views or something. 100 views? Guys, what in the world? That took some time. I don't know if people know, YouTube doesn't pay very well. I don't know what everybody else is what it was CRM or whatever it is, but I make less than a penny per view. It's not very good. So when people were like, I'll quit watching your channel, I'm like, yeah, dude, it's a fraction of a penny. Go kick rocks. I don't care. But if I get 100 views, I didn't that's not even, man, that sucks. But it was so fun to do. So I want to do it again. I probably will do it again, regardless of whether it makes any money, but it does take effort to do. So if you guys want to go watch it, that'd be awesome. And if you guys want to see that again, let me know who you want on it. I'm thinking about trying to get Couch to do it because I think he would be hilarious. So
I'm not gonna know who anybody is.
Well, and see, that's the thing. So
I'm terrible at these kinds of games.
I hand you the fighters ahead of time so you can make sure you know this, who you've got, and then you have to guess the other person's fight. So it ends up being good. They both had a good time. I think everybody'd have a good time. So anyway, we're gonna try and do that soon. We're trying to get more prospect interviews. I'm trying to expand to my audience to not just degenerate gamblers. I still like the degenerate gamblers, but I want the rest of the MMA fans. Anyway, enough rambling from me. We can wrap it up. Guys, thank you all for tuning in, and thank you guys for being on the show. I appreciate it. I'm sure everybody's audience on whatever channel you're watching this on is there. You go. Look at all the
I got to
On the-
show
on the
Liam. I
merch.
drew that. That's white charcoal on black paper.
You drew that?
Yeah. In college.
Damn, dude.
Liam's
That's
got
Looks
the
good.
Khabib choking out Connor there. And my favorite fighter,
Hey.
Lyoto Machida, my favorite fighter.
Let's go.
I absolutely love it, man. The
Super
fresh background.
Heck yeah, dude. All right, everybody, party hard. I'll catch you all down the road. Thanks for tuning in.